What's up, you guys? Welcome back. It's been 1,000 years. It feels like I fell off the face of the earth. I just had my baby, so to all the mamas out there, you guys know how newborn life is and the sleep deprivation and everything in between. So yeah, it's been a while since my last video, since December. A lot has transpired since then. The baby's napping right now, so I felt like this is the perfect opportunity to start filming. I've been trying to film for so long, but the first few months of my baby's life has just been a priority to me, and I've also been really exhausted, but I'm starting to feel like myself again, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that later in this video. But yeah, so I felt like this was the perfect opportunity, and there's no perfect time, honestly, to do this, so I just found some time finally. So I think the last video I posted, I was 35 weeks pregnant, and it was in December. December was just the worst. So several weeks after I posted that video, I actually got COVID. So I was 37 weeks pregnant with COVID. So if you've ever been pregnant before, you already know how difficult it is in the third trimester to breathe because you're carrying so much. You know, the baby is pushing against your lungs and all your organs. So with COVID, it was extremely hard, extremely hard. Fortunately, it was a mild case, and it didn't last very long. It lasted maybe like a little over a week, and I felt completely fine after that. But it was definitely scary, and we missed Christmas with my family, and it was just an awful time, honestly. And my husband got COVID too, so we were both, you know, here in the house, spending the holidays with each other, which was wonderful, of course, but we definitely had plans to spend Christmas with our families, and we weren't able to do that. So that was in December, and then I started having contractions in January, the first week of January or so, and I was contracting for 3 days, and it was extremely painful. I've never felt anything like that before. And so after I was contracting for 3 days, it was just getting really bad, and I told my husband, I was like, hey, I think we just need to go to the hospital because I think my water broke. And I wasn't really sure if it did or not, but I just wanted to take precaution. So we went, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, and they said my blood pressure was high, so they said they were going to keep me in and check me in anyways. So they went ahead and induced me and gave me Pitocin, and I feel like I dilated pretty quickly after they gave me the Pitocin. I was in labor for 20 hours. They gave me fentanyl, and that wasn't enough, and I was like, you know what, just give me the epidural now, because this fentanyl is weak right now. I need the strong stuff. So I got the epidural right away. Was in labor for 20 hours, and honestly, the laboring wasn't even the hardest part. I mean, maybe it was because I had the epidural or whatever, but I felt like the hardest part was the contracting, because it was just this constant pain every few minutes, every few like hours, and there wasn't any like Tylenol or ibuprofen that I could take to really ease the pain. So I'm really glad that they checked us in that day and gave me the epidural, because that made the 20 hours bearable. Interestingly enough, towards the end of my labor, I started shaking, and I actually got a fever, and I had an infection in my placenta. And so they told us that they were going to put me on antibiotics, and so they did. And then eventually I was dilated 10 centimeters, and I started pushing, and they said that the baby's heartbeat was dropping. So we had 2 options at that point. Either we get vacuum assistance, or we do an emergency C-section. And you know, I'm in like a really vulnerable state. First of all, like my legs are wide open, I'm on drugs, like, and like me and my husband are supposed to make this like super quick decision like right now, you know. And it was really scary. It was really scary for me, just to hear that his heart rate was dropping and we had to, you know, do something about it right then and there. And so they told us the risks of both the vacuum assistance and the C-section, and I just didn't plan to have a C-section. I didn't plan to like get cut open. And so I looked at my husband and we both agreed that doing the vacuum assistance would be the best option at that point. They had the vacuum there already, you know, because if I chose the C-section, they would have to take me to a completely different room, and it was just, I just couldn't even fathom. I was like, I'm already here, my legs are wide open, you guys have everything that you need, so just do the vacuum. So I pushed twice, and he came out, my baby came, and it was very, very emotional for me. I was crying like a baby, of course. They put him on my chest immediately, and just seeing him for the first time, you know, if you're a mom, you know, I just like could not contain myself. I was just like crying so much. I just couldn't believe it, you know, like he was actually here, and my husband was just like in shock. But sadly, we only had a couple hours with him until he was sent to the NICU. So he was born really small. He was 4 pounds, 8 ounces. And no, he was not a preemie. I was full term. I delivered for full term. I was 39 weeks in 2 days. So he came like 5 days early, but he was still full term. He was just a really small baby. And so they sent him to the NICU, and this was probably like the hardest part for me. And I still get really emotional talking about it. And to be honest with you, I'm still grieving it. I'm still like trying to navigate and like deal with my emotions, I guess you could say. Even though he's about to be 3 months old, it's still really hard for me because when he was in the NICU for 2 weeks, we were both basically in survival mode, you know, really just trying to help him get out of there and see him every day. I wasn't even thinking about like, you know, how I was really feeling. And when he came home, when we were able to bring the baby home, that's when kind of all my emotions caught up to me. But basically, yeah, so they took him to the NICU 2 hours after he was born, and they gave him antibiotics just because I had an infection in my placenta, and they just wanted to cover all their bases and make sure that he was okay. And all his tests came out negative, which was great. And then he had a little jaundice, so he had to be under like the little blue light thingy, I think for almost 2 days. And then the major thing why he was there for so long was because he was having feeding issues. So he was having a hard time eating. And so he wasn't eating enough. And so they had to put a feeding tube in him so he could get, you know, the nourishment that he needed. And I think the hardest part was just seeing him attached to all these wires. Like, you know, he's already so small in his little body, and like them pricking him with like the needle for the IV and things like that. Like, it just broke my heart to see him in that state. And he had to get to a certain point with his feeding before they could discharge him. And so we were there every day, like visiting him, making sure he was eating, and, you know, working with him, practicing with him. And it was hard. It was hard, you know, leaving the best part of me every single day was so hard. Like I said, I still have like a really hard time with it still today, just thinking about it, even though he's super healthy and he's completely fine and he won't stop eating and he's like doubled in weight. Like, he's totally fine. It's just me, mama, and my emotions, you know. So we brought him home and that was great. And he's been great ever since. But I'm still kind of grieving what I had envisioned. You know, I had envisioned, you know, taking my baby home a couple days after he was born, not 2 weeks after he was born. And so I feel like a lot of what I had envisioned and what I wanted to do was, you know, kind of taken away from me, was like robbed from me, you know, like the breastfeeding and things like that. I did pump for 3 weeks, so I was able to give him some of my milk for 3 weeks. And after we took him home and brought him home and adjusted to everything, it was just too much. It was just too much on my mental health because I was still grieving. And then the come down of the postpartum hormones, and then the learning curve of, you know, trying to care for a little baby. Like, it was just a lot. And me and my husband made the decision to transition completely to formula, and my husband supported me 100%. He's like, it's just not worth, like, you know, your mental health and all that. And he was getting all the nutrients that he needed, and the amount that he was eating, like, I wasn't like pumping enough for him to get enough. Like, he was just eating like crazy as soon as he got home. So yeah, it was just the best decision for us. Yeah, so the baby blues is real, and it's just such a dark place, and I honestly don't ever want to like experience that ever again. Like, the hormones are just crazy, and you just don't feel like yourself, and then it's like a learning curve, and then it's just like an added stressor. And like I'd say the first month to 2 months was like the hardest, like the biggest adjustment. And I'm definitely starting to feel like myself again, which is why I'm able to sit here and talk to you guys and film and update you guys on what's been going on. And it feels good. It feels good to feel like myself again, you know, just accepting the new me, accepting like my new body, accepting, you know, our new life with our baby and everything. It's a huge adjustment. And not to mention, right before the baby was born, we moved to our new house. We bought a house, and it's an hour away from our family and friends. And that's also been hard for me. You know, it feels like really isolating. It's just like, it just feels like we're like on this deserted island by ourselves, which is not what it actually is. And the drive isn't that bad, but I guess just like that immediate access to family and friends, and then trying to learn like how to take care of a human being, and dealing with my postpartum anxiety, if you will, was really hard. And I'm just so thankful for like family and friends that reached out via phone and text, and like friends and family that came to visit us, and, you know, dropped off meals and sent money for meals and things like that. We're super thankful. Like, I'm really realizing and learning that it does take a village. Like, you cannot do this on your own. Like, it can't just be me and my husband. Like, that's a lot on like both of us, and it definitely takes a village. And I'm just so thankful for ours, even though it feels like they're far away. Somehow, like, you just make it work, you know, you make it work for the people that you love. And I think God has really showed that to me in this season, that, you know, people really show up for you, and in like your darkest moments. And I'm super thankful for that. We're kind of finally like in a routine with Royal. Royal is our baby's name. His name is Royal Omari Morgan. And I feel like I kind of have a schedule, and then I feel like I kind of don't, because just when I feel like I got things down, like, he starts changing. And if you know babies, they change like almost every other day. Like, they're different all the time. He's grown so much. He's changed so much. He's smiling and giggling and just super active now. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just so crazy to see him develop every single day and change. But I think for the most part we have a schedule, but you know, you gotta roll with the punches because it's different all the time. I have a lot of mixed emotions every day. Well, not every day, but within the last 3 months, you know, just the grieving, the sadness, the anxiety, and also the joy, exhaustion. But it's a lot to like feel at the same time, and it's kind of overwhelming. It's like I don't like to feel all of these things at the same time. I just am. But I think it's starting to get better. I think me starting to feel like myself again makes this like overwhelming amount of emotions less overwhelming. And as far as like my postpartum anxiety, that's more so like me. I was like really, in the beginning I was really afraid to like leave the house with the baby by myself and not having Philip, my husband, with me, because I'm just like, well, what if he has a meltdown and like everyone's staring at me, or like, and they judge me and they look at me and they're like, oh, what is she gonna do? It's just like, you know, all in my head, right? But I've built the courage to like challenge myself in that, because like being in the house all day with the baby is just like isolating, and it'll drive you crazy. So I'm like, I gotta get out of the house. So like I've taken him to the park by myself. We've gone to Target and by myself with the baby, and you know, he pretty much slept like every time I took him out. So it's definitely all in my head, but I know those emotions or those feelings and that anxiety is real for me. And so I'm just glad that I built the courage enough to like challenge those fears. And it actually made me feel more confident as a new mom to like take them out and by myself, because my husband works, you know, all day. Life is so different now. Motherhood is like a sisterhood, and I don't know what going back to work is going to look like. But we don't want just like anyone watching the baby. My husband and I are like very protective of Royal, just because there's some crazy, creepy people out there, and you just never know, like, and we just don't want to chance that. And I know we can't like protect him forever and protect him from the world, but like we're gonna really try until we can, you know. My heart just completely explodes looking at him. I was just telling my husband the other day, like he was sleeping and I was holding him in my arms and I was just looking at him, and I literally just started crying. Like it's just this overwhelming like joy. And you know, children really are a reward from the Lord, because I can't even imagine my life without him anymore. It's crazy to think that I lived 30 years of my life without him, because it's like I don't even want to look back. Like he's such a gift. He's such a just a treasure from heaven. And it just like breaks my heart that he's growing so much every day. And he's not always gonna be a baby, but he'll always be my baby. Where I've been the last 3 months on this physical and emotional roller coaster, just trying to survive one day at a time. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. It's just been, so it just feels like so much mentally and emotionally and physically and spiritually the last 3 months since December, and I can't believe it's March. Well, it's about to be April, so tomorrow's April 1st, and I'm just like, what? Like, that's crazy. And so I have about 2 more months left of maternity leave. I go back June 1st. I'm super thankful that I get to have this time with Royal, because I know that I'll never get this time back. Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. I'm doing a lot better. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling more confident in my motherly skills, if you will. Still learning every day. Still learning every day though. And I'm thankful for the support of my husband and family and friends. My mother-in-law stayed with us for a week and helped us out, and my mom also came and stayed with us for a week, and she also watches him occasionally when Philip and I have like date nights, or we have like events that we need to go to, like a wedding or something like that, and she's completely in love with him. It's like I'm seeing a whole new side of my mom, which is really sweet. She loves Royal almost as much as I do, which is really comforting to me because I know that he'll always be okay with her whenever we drop him off. But yeah, just taking it one day at a time. I'm surprised I didn't break down in tears. Go me. I mean, it's okay to cry, I know that, but it just kind of shows me that I've come a long way in the last 3 months, because I would cry every single time I talked about Royal being in the NICU. That is that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, I hope to see you guys real soon. Bye.